What's up, fight fans? Welcome back to Sportskeeda MMA News. Justin Gaethje speaks about his post-championship plans, and sending Conor McGregor right into retirement is one of them. Conor and Khabib Nurmagomedov both fire shots at Tony Ferguson. The flyweight queen Valentina Shevchenko doesn't agree with Colby Covington going to the cops. Dana White thinks Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou is stupid, and the legendary Anderson Silva felt used and disrespected by the UFC. All this and more on today's edition of Sportskeeda MMA News. If you see any of your favorite fighters mentioned in today's video, make sure to blast that like button. Alright, let's get started. Former interim lightweight champion Justin Gaethje is allergic to boring fights. If his barn burner with Michael Chandler doesn't convince you of that, well then nothing will. Fans can anticipate an instant classic in the main event this Saturday between Gaethje and reigning champion Charles Oliveira. But Gaethje is already planning who comes next. Gaethje was a recent guest on the Full Send podcast and gave his thoughts into his potential title offenses should he win at UFC 274. Here's what Gaethje had to say.
At the end of the day, after I win this fight, there's two people that are next in line. It's Beneil Dariush and Makhachev, and they need to fight each other. If Conor McGregor is there, then I think he's just as rightfully available as those two because they need to fight. So I would say either everybody deserves it or nobody deserves it right now. Someone needs to stand out. And yeah, whoever, I want that opportunity to take him away from this sport forever.
What's crazy is Oliveira is singing a different tune about Makhachev, but still wants Conor. Everybody wants Conor. I'll fight Conor. The 23-3 Gaethje understands a thing or two about title fights, losing one to the great Khabib Nurmagomedov, but that loss only made him stronger, and Gaethje is only one sleep away from true UFC gold. Gaethje is confident he will win this title fight and understands what that means after.
When you're the champion, the target's on your back. I'm not going to be looking back. At the end of the day, I will be the champ, and whoever's next will be next. I just got to, keep preparing myself, keep eating correctly, keep isolating myself, take away all distractions, and then I'll be done one of these days.
With Beneil Dariush versus Islam Makhachev in the works for later this year, Gaethje's prediction might come true. It's just that Mystic Gaethje doesn't have a good ring to it. However, the money fight would be with a 22-6 McGregor, who's on a 2-fight skid to Dustin Poirier and has been sidelined for almost a year due to his compound fracture sustained at UFC 264. What do you think Gaethje's next move is if he loses? Leave a comment down below and you might be featured in tomorrow's video. Two former champions have decided to drop some truth bombs on Tony Ferguson, and this might be the only time you'll see them on the same page. Former double champion Conor McGregor recently responded to Tony's comments about feeling underpaid and Dana White being a drug dealer. In a since-deleted tweet, here's what McGregor had to say. Tony Ferguson, who changes representation around 4 times a year, is saying it's someone else's fault that he's in the position he's in. How many bridges do you burn before you look yourself in the mirror and say, maybe it's me that's the issue? God bless you, pal. I'll say a prayer. Ferguson also briefly burned lightweight goat Khabib Nurmagomedov, calling him a that's been running from him since the UFC booked their matchup 5 times without it ever materializing. And here's what Khabib had to say in retaliation. Last 3 years, Tony has not won a single round in the UFC. Leave me alone and focus on yourself, stupid guy. Then Khabib spoke about what would have happened if he actually fought Tony. Here's what he said. I wanted to fight him so bad, but God had other plans. We both had circumstances that didn't let the fight happen. Tony wouldn't have done anything to me. I'd run through him. From cranking McGregor's neck back at UFC 229 to choking Justin Gaethje to sleep in his retirement fight, the 29-0 Khabib has eluded Tony, one of the biggest fights that never happened. The 26-6 Ferguson is set to fight Michael Chandler this Saturday, hoping to right the wrongs suffered through his recent 3-fight skid. Do you think Conor and Khabib are speaking facts here? If you were to tell me that Valentina Shevchenko were to side with a Miami street fighter nicknamed Street Jesus, I'd have said you were crazy. The UFC's flyweight queen recently shared her thoughts about Masvidal's infamous steakhouse sneak attack on Colby Covington after their fight at UFC 272. Speaking to Sportskeeda's James Lynch, Shevchenko put all responsibility for the attack on Covington and even criticized his decision to go to the police. Here's what Shevchenko had to say.
Yeah, it can happen. It's alive, right? Someone was speaking too much personal stuff. I think that's okay, but I'm not going to the police department and saying all these things, putting like trouble for other person. I'm not that kind of person, so I'm not supporting this behavior. It was not too bad. It was just like like one punch, 1-2 punch, like scratches in the watches. Like it's not bad. It's not too much danger or whatever. So I would not do that things. I would keep it like very personal and keep it out of the government stuff. So I don't consider this is a good move.
Since this incident, Masvidal has pled not guilty to aggravated battery and felony criminal mischief charges, and pictures have been released of the damage done to Covington and his $90,000 Rolex watch. The 22-3 Valentina Shevchenko is currently the gold standard for women's MMA. She has finished 4 out of her 6 title defenses and plans to make it 7 against Taila Santos at UFC 275. But what do you think? What do you think about Shevchenko's comments? Uncle Dana has been firing on all cylinders recently. First, he clapped back at naysayers about UFC fighter pay. Now, White is targeting heavyweight kings Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou. After knocking out Dillian Whyte last month in what is seemingly his last fight in boxing, the 32-0 Tyson Fury invited the UFC heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou into the ring and basically confirmed that they would box each other, and it might even be with MMA gloves. The timing of this super fight might be entirely dependent on Ngannou's recovery from surgery on his MCL and ACL from injuries sustained ahead of his title defense against Ciryl Gane at UFC 270. Dana White had this to say about Fury versus Ngannou to Pat McAfee.
That fight's definitely not a lock. Listen, they've been talking about it and everything. I mean, Fury is the best boxer, one of the greatest boxers of all time. You look at the guys that he's beaten and how easily he's beating them. I don't know. We'll see how this whole thing plays out. I don't love the crossover fights. I don't love them.
Then White was asked why he felt that way, and he doubled down.
Because they're stupid. Wasted time, energy, and money. I don't know. It's silly, but I get it. Everybody wants to try to, I don't know. Boxing is a massive advantage for Tyson Fury. Boxing. And Ngannou just wrestled Ciryl Gane.
After knocking Stipe Miocic out cold to win the belt and successfully defending it against then undefeated Ciryl Gane, Ngannou's career is at a crossroads. Now, with Miocic versus John Jones rumored for this year, there's a good chance Ngannou makes his UFC return against the winner of that banger. Do you think that Dana White is allergic to Francis Ngannou making money? While you're still here, subscribe to Sportskeeda MMA and hit that bell. And last but not least, it seems like Uncle Dana isn't only disrespecting Francis Ngannou. Former UFC middleweight champion Anderson Silva revealed that he felt disrespected by the UFC when he retired. The Spider owns UFC records for most consecutive wins at 16 and most title defenses in middleweight history at 10, against fellow legends like Dan Henderson, Vitor Belfort, and Chael Sonnen twice. After facing a steep career decline, winning only 1 out of his last 9 fights, the 34-11 Silva retired from MMA in 2020 after losing to Uriah Hall. But Silva didn't feel like a legend when he hung them up for good. Here's what he had to say to SportNot. When I was done in the UFC, everybody, and especially Dana White, said, "Oh, Anderson can't fight anymore. Nobody in the same age group with Anderson can fight. It's terrible," and blah, 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 and talking lots of about me. And I feel disrespected because it doesn't matter what happened. A fight is a fight. You can win, you can lose. When you make success of MMA, the one thing you need to do for your fighters is give respect. In that, I feel no respect. How can you not respect the man who's held his belt longer than anyone else in UFC history? What do you make of the UFC's lack of respect towards some of their brightest talent? That about does it for Sportskeeda MMA news. Here are some of the best comments from today. All great fights, but Cerrone vs. Lauzon is a guaranteed banger. If Justin loses, I would like to see him and Dustin run it back. Ooh, that would be a good one. Khabib is still catching W's after his retirement. Lol. If you like this video, please like, comment, and share. Your comments could be featured in the next Sportskeeda MMA news video. We always deliver daily content, so make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss out on anything going on in the MMA world. For updates, quotes, and exclusive interviews from all your favorite fighters, follow Sportskeeda MMA on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you for tuning in.